Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Virginia's Halifax County, where in just a few days, tens of thousands of fans will descend upon the place that Paul Newman once called heaven on earth for IMSA's Virginia is for Lovers Grand Prix. But first, we're going to give you a little preview of that here on Apex Racing TV. Welcome to Virginia International Raceway for the opening round of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Proforma Elite. I'm Greg Ginsberg, and joining me in the announce booth, as always, is Larry Lefty McLeod, with our director Lee Thompson working behind the scenes to give you all the best views of tonight's action. And so, good evening, Larry, and welcome to season number 5 of the Sports Car Series. And there are some changes this season as we're saying goodbye, farewell, adieu to the TCR cars, and hello to the Ligier LMP3 cars powered by a glorious sounding V8 Nissan power plant.
Yes, good evening, Greg. Yeah, the new car, the Ligier that's come into the LMP3, it does sound wonderful. It's got that great rumble to it. It's a fantastic car. It sounds a lot better than TCRs. The racing, I think, is pretty good as well. I've had a chance on my own time to try this car out in a couple of different places. I think they'll make for some good, solid runs, some good competition, some good side-by-side stuff even. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We got a good group signed up here tonight, as well as all of the rest of the actual full-bodied, street-looking light cars that are going to be out there tonight. So we've got a good groups of both, and I think it's going to be a great way to kick off the new season.
That's right. So it's going to be LMP3s as always, and then 2 classes, our pros and our amateurs in GT4. And I'm looking, Larry, at this point, I think we've got somewhere around 36, 37 drivers here tonight. There are 13 of the LMP3 cars. So it's going to make for some very hectic racing here tonight at a fairly narrow 3.27 mile, 17 turn Virginia International Raceway, as our racers are, I believe, just finishing up, showing that they're finishing up practice. And hopefully we'll see them heading out for qualifying here in just a moment. But while we do this, while we wait for qualifying to start, let's turn things over, like we always do, to Kevin Ford. He's going to give us tonight's track guide of Heaven on Earth, Virginia International Raceway.
Welcome, everyone, to Virginia International Raceway. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this amazing road course here. 17 turns, 3.27 miles, but 130 feet of elevation changes. That's right, this place is full of blind entries, blind exits, and it has one of the longest back stretches in motorsports. Well, let's head up the front straightaway here. You'll notice our pit area to the right and no grandstands to the left. That's right, fans, we'll just gather around the barriers around the outside of the track and watch all the action as drivers get up to speed here around this course and heading down into turn one here. Wrap that corner pretty tight here. We'll come right back to throttle. Easy on that as that back end likes to step out there coming out of two. Now down into three. We'll get heavy on the brakes here for this double left-hander known as NASCAR bend. Come right back to throttle. Use up all that track out. Now down into four. We'll take a nice tight wrap there. Then back into five to the right. This will take us through 5A and then ultimately up into the snake. Up through turn 6 and 6A, now out onto the straightaway here, the first straightaway here at VIR, but it is a short one and very tough to get overtaking done. As you head up into the climbing S's here, want to hug those corners nice and tight to the outside. Now down on the brakes into turn 4. This will bring us into South Bend. Big drop off. There's that blind exit we were talking about. Now up into Oak Tree Corner. Get a nice tight wrapping launch up off of this, as this is a critical one. This brings you out onto this very, very long backstretch. This is where all the slipstream opportunities happen here and really one of the primary overtaking spots. Drivers will use that slipstream coming up the hill here to try to take advantage of their competitors as they head into this downhill, very fast section, and then heavy on the brakes coming up the hill here. Down into fourth, down into third. Very tight to wrap this corner to the right. Back to the throttle, pretty much wide open out of 15 there. Now down into the very tight left of 16, tapping the brakes, and then wide open as we head up out of 17 and make our way back up onto the front straightaway. There you go. There's your track guide around this amazing VIR International Raceway. Thank you for being with us.
And thank you so much for Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of beautiful Virginia International Raceway. And, Kevin talked about how long that back straight was, Larry, and you can kind of see there with the track map, just as Lee had given us that full view of the entire track, how incredibly long it is when you come out of Oak Tree and make your way down Madison Avenue. That, this track has amazing flow, having raced it in real life multiple times, fallen off of it in virtual racing multiple times. I can tell you it is so challenging, one, because it is so narrow, but some of these corner complexes are incredibly complex, and thankfully you've got some of these longer straightaways that give you a little bit of an opportunity to breathe.
Yeah, there's two really good passing zones, and then there's another one or two where you could shove a car down the inside of somebody. As we got a shot here, looking down on the lower S's there, that's single file. That is basically curb to curb, straight through one car width. This little short back straight, that's that third spot, especially for the multi-class racing. You can get on by between the lower S's and then the upper. But then if you get outside of 9, you set up for that South Bend 10. You're going to have to shove it down the inside if you think you're going to make a pass there. Not that you can't, but we'll see if anybody tries to go too wide there. But coming out of Oak Tree, at least where the Oak Tree used to stand at their turn 12, that's the back straight. And at the end of the back straight, that's really the best passing zone. And we'll see it there, both from multi-classing as well as within the classes. At the end of the back straight, you'll see all the passing happening here tonight.
All right. So, Larry, this is, as we mentioned, this is the very first round of season number 5 of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. And as our drivers are heading out for their 15-minute qualifying, let's quickly, and we'll come back to it later, but let's quickly take a look at the schedule that we have laid out, because we have some wonderful places that these racers are going to take these GT4 cars and take these LMP3 cars. Of course, we're going to be starting off our 8-round season here at Virginia International Raceway, but we're going to be at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, the Indianapolis Road Course, We're going to be heading for one round to the other side of the pond. Going to be going to Donington Park. But these are, for the most part, with the exception of Donington, all tracks that IMSA has run the past couple of years. And like tonight, I think we're trying to get the scheduling in some cases this season lined up with IMSA's actual race season. I think, as you saw there, we're going to be not wrapping things up. We're going to have round 7 at Road Atlanta, I think, right around the time of Petit Le Mans. So some nice confluence there. So let's take a look, Larry, as we've got our drivers now heading out. They've got their 15-minute qualifying session. And as we always do in our 3 different Ricmotech series, we give our drivers 15 minutes to set a fast lap. We give them 4 opportunities, 4 fast laps, or 4 laps, in order to set their fastest lap time and set the grid for tonight's races. We're watching right now Marlon Jones from Lead Paw Racing here running tonight in the LMP3s, and he is looking to complete his which should be, I believe, his second flying lap here as he goes and crosses, actually completes his first flying lap, and did not set a time as he did have an off track. But Larry, as they are heading around, let's quickly take a look as we're starting to see more of our cars out on track trying to set fast laps. As I mentioned, we have 3 different classes. Obviously, the LMP3 cars, all the Ligier models, the JSP 320s, and they'll all have orange mirrors and number boards, what have you. But I think what we want to do is we want to try and tell our GT3 Pro and AM drivers apart. And as we're watching right now, Ken Copeland, driver of the number 15 Mercedes for Team Esport Racer, and I believe Ken was one of our fastest drivers in practice this week. He is in our pro class. You can tell he's in pro because he's got red number boards on the side of the car, red mirrors and a windshield banner, and red end plates on the ends of his wings. And thank you, Lee, for throwing the guide up there, top center of the screen. And our AM category drivers, they, much like Alex Brown here, who is, after just a single flying lap, our provisional pole sitter in GT4 AM, they will have the green number boards, mirrors, windshield banners, and end plates on the wing. And heck, you even look at the timing tower on the left-hand side of the screen, and it'll even tell you GT4 AM or GT4 Pro. So early days here, Larry. Mike Dam, our fastest LMP3 driver, with a time of 142.17. Robert Hartley, Travis Schwenke, the 3 Orion Racing racers, jumping out of the GT4 cars that they had been running last season and moving over to the LMP3s. And this, I think, Larry, going to be a heck of a battle this season, because we've got all 3 of the Orion Racing teammates here. And in past years, in past seasons, where we had, for example, Brandon Whitworth and Eric Violette from D2DE Racing, they've been running the TCR cars. They're moving over to the LMP3s as well.
Yeah, I think it's great to see the traditional Orion team that always seemed to flock to the GT cars, whether it was the GT4s in this series or the GT3s in our World Challenge series. To see them jumping into a prototype here is really good news. It's just throws in, as Mike Dam saying, didn't quite turn in like my GT3
No.
or GT4 would have, as he goes off the edge of the entry to the lower snake there. But so yeah, see those guys in that group there with Dam and Schwenke and Hartley. Bobby Childs sticking with the prototypes here last season in the World Challenge course we just finished up. He was running in the LMDHs. Now he's over here in one of these LMP3s. We got Marlon Jones, Baron Glover, some other guys that had been traditionally running in some of the other things in the other series. Great to see them jumping into this class. So I think it's going to be very competitive. Top to bottom is a good spread there, and the numbers are really strong, as you mentioned. This is going to be interesting. First time I'm seeing this in a long series competitive run for this LMP3. We'll see how it stacks up over the course of multiple tracks, starting here, of course, with the famous VIRs, the compromise of the tights and twisties versus the long straightaways. It'll be interesting setups, but I just love seeing the variety of teams, the variety of drivers who decided to flock to this more spec type car.
Yeah, exactly, and a very, very good, very strong field right now that we're seeing in LMP3. 12 drivers having set qualifying times. Looks like Bruce Jackson has not come out. Actually, Bruce Jackson is on
He's
track.
out.
Our sole LMP3 driver to have not yet set a time. He's had a couple of off tracks as he's currently working his 4th flying lap. This is going to be his final opportunity to set a time. The Aerokinetics driver looking to at least get to a 147.29, which is where Aaron Beaver currently sits of the 12 drivers that have already set qualifying times in LMP3. So let's watch him as he comes down through the roller coaster, through Hog Pen, and then back out onto the front straight. Larry, I don't think he had an off track this
Hard
lap.
to tell
I'm sure he's taking it
until they
easy.
hit that checkered line to see if they've got one. Looks like he does. He's got one in the books now.
Yeah, and he moves up, and he was being kind of careful. Moves up to 11th position. They're just ahead of Marlon Jones and Aaron Beaver. Here as we're on board with Russ Ruddick, driver of the number 95 Flying Tortoise machine. He's currently qualified 8th in GT4 AM in his BMW M4 GT4. And Russ is currently working his 4th and final lap as well. So sitting comfortably right in the middle of the pack here. We have 14 drivers that have set times. Our only GT4 AM driver that has not set a time. And this is very interesting, Larry. Lucas Dragota in his Dragon Sport Aston Martin. He was I believe our 2nd fastest AM driver in practice. And again, working, well, actually, he has already turned his 4 flying laps. This is actually lap 5, his cool down lap. So looks like Lucas is going to be relegated to the back of the GT4 field tonight.
Yeah, that's well, that basically bookends the field there in the GT4s with Dragadas, because you've got right now on provisional pole his brother Leo is the quickest of all the GT4s there in the AM with a 154.2, and then of course Lucas is right now starting at the back of the field, having not gotten an official time in the books. We don't know what times he was running. We suspect it was probably just a couple off tracks. But you know what? In an hour-long race, anything can happen.
Exactly. Hey, Larry, let's do this. We've got sitting in the green room right now Travis Schwenke. He was our Sports Car Series Season 4 champion, GT4 Pro champion here. And for Season 5, as we mentioned, he and the rest of the Orion Racing team are moving over to the LMP3 Ligiers. Let's talk to him a little bit here and see what his plans are for season number 5.
All right, Travis Schwenke's joined us here tonight pre-race. Got a couple minutes before the green flag drops. But Travis, looks like you guys have decided to switch things up, go prototype this season. Tell me a little bit about the decision there for the team to jump to protos.
Yeah, we just figured why not, right? Let's go up and step up and not run GT4 this season. You know, after I think we took the top 2 positions last year in the championship, so we're stepping it up here. And man, this car is a lot of fun to drive. So.
Yeah, and they definitely are, but they've got to be very different than running a lot of the traditional sports cars or the GT cars that you guys have run over all these series since I've been joining this, which means I would think that maybe a little bit of different when it comes to your setup, and I understand you're the setup guy on the team. So what's your approach coming into setting one of these up versus maybe how you would have set up one of the GT traditional cars?
Well, obviously, we work together on the setup. Mike and I seem to like a car that handles similarly, so that really helps, and Rob can always adapt. And he has a similar driving style as well, so it's good. But you know, it's kind of a blank slate for us. We don't know enough about the car yet, so we took a bunch of things we had and compared and saw what we started running one and see what we like. And I put that up there, and Mike ran yesterday, made some more changes to it, and that's what we have. But obviously, Mike figured out the qual setup since he found I don't know what egg he had underneath that throttle, but it worked well.
Is that the thing about this car? Is it's got plenty of torque that could get yourself in trouble?
Yeah. It's being smooth, right, and treating that entry smooth and smooth on brakes, and there are times where you can hammer it down, but other times you have to be kind of little smooth on the throttle apply.
Yeah, the story that was told to me when they released this car on the sim, a couple months back, whatever it was, but this is the car that dentists drive. This is the one that this is the car that they buy or they rent the ride or buy into a team, and so they show up at a track and all the races are always dentists. So I got to ask, one is your day job a dentist, or two, do you have visions of being a dentist as your day job here driving the LMP3s?
No, that ship has sailed. I went a engineering route and didn't do the dentist route, so been that way forever. So I'm not going back to it. I wish I had the dental money to rent it. So.
Yeah, well, I think it'll be a good time tonight. We're looking forward to kicking off the fresh season here. You guys got a big class, lots of competition. Obviously, with the Orion, you guys always bring it, but you guys got some pretty steep competitors on the other side. Guys like Eric Violet Whitworth on the T2D side, and a few others thrown in. Is there somebody you're looking for? Somebody you're thinking, okay, if I get up next to him, I know that's the lap time I got to stick with?
Probably Mike at this point. I know Brooks and Whitworth and Eric are all going to be fast. Barron was quick, so the race pace is going to be another thing. So let's see if we can run it consistently for a long time.
Well, it should be a lot of fun tonight. It's a brand new season. Anything can happen. But good luck to you and good luck to your team tonight. And with any luck, in about an hour and 5 minutes, we'll get a chance to talk to you.
Sounds good. Thank you much.
All right, there you go. Travis Schwenke, driver of the number 16 Orion Racing LMP3 Ligier. And yeah, Larry, it was interesting. Just as we were talking to Travis, we had Eric Violet on screen as he just went and looped the car around coming through turn 11 going into Oak Tree. And I thought it would have been a great segue for you to ask us, who do you see as one of your toughest competitors, as Eric was sitting off in the grass there. But great insight there from Travis on the move from the GT4 cars over to the LMPs. And one of the things in talking to Eric Violet, and I think is going to be very interesting, and something that I think is going to be a very big change for these drivers that are getting out of the GT4 cars, or in the case of like Violet and Whitworth, the TCR cars, is the lack of ABS braking on the LMP3 machines. That if they have somebody maybe that they're following fairly closely that maybe makes a little bobble and they end up just just slamming on the brake pedal, or just standing on the brakes hoping that they're going to be able to avoid what's going on ahead of them, it may cause more problems than not with brake lockup and what have you. So
yeah, I think it'll be an interesting transition there. I think it's always manageable. I look at things like brake lockup. Certainly, you start playing around with bias, sort of at play rep. We'll see how that changes over the course of the hour that they're out there. Your brake bias and how you brake at the beginning of the race may not be the same at the end of the race when the tires have more wear on them and you're suddenly on a low fuel load. So we'll keep our eye on that as the laps wind down. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's an exciting class setup this season. Very different with the GT4s no longer being the fast ones out there. They're going to have to be looking over their shoulders, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, Larry. So we've got our drivers on the grid now, getting ready to roll off. Why don't we run down the starting order?
All right, on the pole tonight, we just talked to his teammate about how fast he was. Mike Dam, the Canadian, flying out there, 1:41.6 the time. He is on the pole, but Travis Schwenke, we just talked to him. He's on the outside of that front row right now, looking to see if he can take Mike into turn one. On the second row, it's going to be another Orion driver, Rob Hartley, on the inside, alongside a Wrong Stuff driver, Michael Brooks, on the outside of row two. Row three is all D2D. The inside, it's Brandon Whitworth, and on the outside, we saw him spin there at qualifying. Eric Violet. Maybe he didn't get the lap he wanted in. Maybe he's kind of disguising his speed. We'll see. Row four on the inside, it's the second of our Wrong Stuff drivers. This is Baron Glover. We're lined up with SRT Esports Ryan Reeves. On row five, the inside, Bruce Jackson from Aerokinetics, alongside another one of our D2D drivers, Celebrity Bobby Childs. On row six on the inside, it's another SRT Esport driver, Kyle Strikers. On the outside, from Lead Paw Racing, Marlon Jones.
All right, there we go. Let's take a look now at our GT4 field.
I think we had one more in there. I think Aaron Beaver is the last of the LMP3s, and he'll be on that row 7.
All right, and then your pole sitter in GT4 is going to be Leo Dragota from Dragonsport Racing, with Ken Copeland starting over to his left in second. Then we've got Robert Schwenkler and Ian Patience that will make up row number 2. Matt Campbell and Lucas Dragota making up row number 3. And I thought we were going to see Lucas at the back of the GT4 field, but I guess not. Making up row number, what do we say? Row number 4, going to be Alex Brown and Brennan Horn from D2D eRacing, with Brad Husty and Chris Thorman in the next row. Then we've got David Payton in the number 64 D2D eRacing machine, with Jeff Jacobs to his left, Chuck Labano and Kevin Ford from Frito Sport and Flying Tortoise, with Neil Weston, who I believe in his first race here in the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Thank you for joining us, Neil, with Dale Maxwell from Team 1 Racing directly to his left. Then we've got Russ Ruddick and Tom Jenkins, with John Sterling from Team Collusion, which always makes me wary. Then John Casey, he will start to John's left. And then in the final row, Greg Brockway and Robert Brist.
All right, should be an exciting start. We'll see how quickly everybody gets tires and everything up to temp and get into that rhythm. Everyone's got maybe a bit of the jitters here. First race of the new season. Everyone wants to have a good result to get off on the right foot. But, at the end of the day, there's only 3 classes and only 3 drivers that can take that first race victory. Everyone else is going to be chasing. So we'll see who that is and who can come out and be patient and come out in the end and maybe find themselves on a podium.
Hey, and I want to thank Larry. I want to thank all the great folks for joining us here on Apex Racing TV tonight. Of course, we've got our regulars. We've got Stubby in the field, always looking out for his man Bobby Childs. But it's like old home week here for the wayward Apex Racing TV producers. We've got Dennis Branch joining us back here. Hopefully, we'll see Jonathan Grabowski jump in as well. Here, so I want to thank you all of you for joining us here this evening for the kickoff of season number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series, presented by Proforma Elite here on Apex Racing TV. Is the safety car, now the pace car, bringing the field. Mike Dam and Travis Schwenke from Orion Racing down Madison Avenue, and while those LMP3s, they're girded up awfully well as they're going to come into turn 13. And then start to make their way down the roller coaster as our GT4 cars just now coming out of Oak Tree and starting to get formed up.
And again, it's all about patience on the opening corner, and there's just enough room down there in turns 1 and 2 to go side by side, but 3 wide does not work well here. This little ribbon of real estate is not wide enough to go more than probably 2 once you get that turn in. The braking zone's wide, but the exit there kind of tightens up. Yeah, we'll see if they can be patient and who can stay in line, or who gets a little impatient and decides to make the move.
Well, we'll see if it's Mr. Ian Patience driving the GT4 McLaren. All right, and green flag is given to our LMP3 field, and they are underway. Mike Dam on your left, on his right, and Travis Schwenke, both from Orion Racing, as they make the run down to turn 1 for the very first time, trying to shoot up the center is Brandon Whitworth. Thinks a little better of it and drops back as Hartley drops into 3rd. Now directly behind Robert Hartley is Michael Brooks in the 83 machine, then Brendan Whitworth and Eric Violette running 5th and 6th with Baron Glover and Ryan Reeves. Looks like Bobby Childs makes up a position. He gets around Bruce Jackson on the start. He is running in 9th as we've got some brake lock up there going into left hook. And green flag now given to our GT4 racers, with Leo Dragota in the Aston Martin there on your right, probably on your left. There with Ken Copeland in the number 15 Mercedes. A little bit later on the brakes as things are starting to stack up in the midfield. But Dragota gets a great jump there. Robert Schwenkler from the Wrong Stuff in his McLaren is going to drop into 3rd position overall, 2nd in pro. Ian Patience also in a McLaren, sitting now 4th in our GT4 field. He's our 2nd place AM driver. Is the field now a little side-by-side action here coming through turn number 5. And I think that was Neil Weston in the Porsche getting around Russ Ruddick in the number 95 BMW in the battle for 9th in AM.
Yeah, everything seemed to be getting in a single file ways as we flash back up to our LMP3s. They are definitely single file again. It's still Mike Daniel Bolslater leading the way. There's a good shot of some battles going on down to the field. Kyle Strikers and Darren Glover there. Everyone kind of staying in true to form to their qualifying order to this point. Very few changes so far in the LMP3s. That's a little bit of grass there for one of our D2D. Is that Bobby?
No, I think that was Eric Violet going around Baron Glover.
Oh, and then he locks it up.
Yep, and what was I saying about anti-lock brakes is Eric Violet goes in the grass at the end of turn number 1 and is trying to get that car back underway.
A week ago, we were crowning him, having come off of the victory there in that last series, and here's starting the new one off. He is off on the wrong foot already. Eric Violet going to be down a lot as the GT4 field now coming through, still led by Leo Dragota, as that is Alex Brown now off into that even pre-hog pen. That's some damage is what that is.
I was going to say, that looks like a lot of damage, and Alex Brown gets his car towed back to the pits. So things are not looking good for Team Collusion right now as we're watching now this battle for the lead in GT4. Leo Dragota, who is our AM leader, who leads the GT4 drivers. And then you've got the 2 pros. You've got Ken Copeland and Robert Schwenkler. And then you've got Ian Patience in the number 21 machine. There's Ian. He's fallen just a little bit off the top 3, but he is currently running 2nd in AM. And then he's got Brendan Horn, who was our AM category champion last season. He is now moving up into the pro ranks, and he is sitting 5th in overall.
Brennan's had a really good, strong start here. You can see already there's a gap there forming behind him. He had started down the order, so now he's clawed his way up into 5th. And he's clawing to the back of the Impatience there in that McLaren. So keep your eye on Brennan. Maybe he didn't quite get the qualifying that he wanted, but he certainly got the pace here at the start of the race on cold tires as the rest of the field now comes through the climbing S's through turn 9 and starts heading to that the dreaded South Bend left-hander. Everyone's keeping it together. There's Chuck Labano now.
Oh, well, maybe one of them isn't.
Off.
And that was Lucas Dragota that had gone off, Larry. In the that was the 119 car.
Yeah,
and,
teammates are a pole sitter.
Yeah, and he is now, looks like Lucas has taken his Aston Martin back to the pits.
Yep. Lots of battles going on. This is another battle here of Chuck Labano, and I think it's the 64 of Peyton locked into a battle right now, and that's Kevin Ford in the BMW trying to pull away from them out in front. So keep your eye on these guys between the Aston and that Mercedes. They seem to be fast in different places. Labano seemed to have a pretty good run off of the oak tree, but as they come up to the top of the roller coaster, Peyton looks like he's got a bit of an advantage there.
All right, so Larry, let's take a look here as we're going to rewind a little bit and watch here as Eric Violet, he comes right underneath, I think, Aaron Beaver in the 97, and then we'll see, well, actually, that wasn't the 97, that was the 13 of Baron Glover, and watch what happens as he comes under braking into turn 1 from all the way on the inside. Yeah,
just couldn't quite get it low down in time to make that stop, and unfortunately, that's where he lost all the turn. Look at, he even gets spun all the way around. Couldn't even get the lucky spin and end up track direction. He has to reverse a couple times.
All right, now let's watch here. Here's Alex Brown in the 67 machine.
Oh, yeah, a little bit of touch there under braking, and that's a big contact to the wall. As the 2 Mercedes there were side by side, and it looked like one of those just unfortunate incidents.
And now we'll watch Dragota coming out of South Bend and making the run down to, here he comes, and then starts making his way down the hill towards turn 11.
Yep, that's the death wobble there. Well, that's a big impact, brought him all the way out to the track.
And somehow everybody else managed to avoid him.
Yeah, wow. Labano having to go around to the left of him, in fact. There's Labano now, still behind David Payton from D2D. See if Labano can get a good run here, though they may have closed up a little bit on Kevin Ford in front of them.
Oh, and there you go, Larry. It sounds like the 27 machine is getting, that was Matt Campbell in the number 27 Mercedes getting a drive-through penalty, and I believe that was for the incident with Alex Brown in the number 67 Mercedes that we just saw the replay of.
Yeah, that was the 2 Mercedes touching as they were side by side, and it seems the steward said he didn't leave enough room, but look at this. You got Patience being followed by Brennan Horan, and Brennan not showing the same patience as the guy in front of him. Brennan maybe wants to get by, but not able to here. Look at this. Late braking, keeping his distance close. Look at the acceleration, though, for Horan, even trying to duck up the inside, coming around the exit of 1. Reddit may be the faster of these two, but this is not that easy a place to pass because, as you mentioned at the start, it's a very narrow strip of asphalt. If you don't get the draft by in the long straights, you're stuck behind somebody usually for several corners.
Yeah, and I think that is what Horn is realizing at this point, as we see patience starting to drop a little bit more off of the cars in front of him. Not all that much, mind you. He's less than a second and a half back right now from Robert Schwenkler in the 235 machine, but losing ground nonetheless, as our LMP3 machine is now starting to make their way through the back of the slower GT4 traffic, and it looks like they've
that's Campbell, who was given that penalty, and he's now just trying to get out of their way and try to keep it on pavement. I can tell you that stretch of the track, not the place you want to touch grass. Those walls are really close, but he manages to keep it together while Schwenke and Hartley continue their chase to Mike Dam up in front of him about a little over a second. So Dam may be using some of that traffic to put some daylight for a moment and keep Schwenke and Hartley behind him. But all three of these Orion cars, as usual, very fast tonight. Still waiting to see the response from the likes of the D2D drivers, or the wrong step drivers, and that's Kyle Stryker's. He's gone off at South Bend. He's gone a long way.
Yeah, and that's it is very difficult there to fight your way back onto the track unless you take exactly the path he's taking and come back right on.
In reality, you just go straight across to the back straight, but not in the sim. You should probably continue on down towards 11 instead of cutting across. Sometimes it's shorter though.
And a nice move there is Aaron Beaver is working over Michael Brooks. And there we go. Brooks with the pass on Beaver, the 83 on the 97, as they came out of Oak Tree and made the way up towards Roller Coaster.
It's a good little battle there for seventh in the field right now. This is the battle of Peyton and Chuck Labano. And as I mentioned, they were sort of catching up to Kevin Ford. Looks like they've all caught up to Jeff Jacobs. Jeff in that BMW there with the SCCA plastered all over it. The number 38 is he's now got himself between Kevin Ford and David Peyton.
And it's at this point that I'm supposed to say that I'm amazed and surprised that Jeff Jacobs is not driving the Mercedes.
He did seem to prefer the Mercedes for a long time, but maybe this season decides to jump into the BMW. Maybe he's just borrowing Kevin Ford's setup.
That could very well be here as they rock out of Oak Tree less. And it was interesting. So right behind David Peyton, is Chuck Labano, and Labano in the 34 Mercedes. There he is. The one thing I noticed, and you mentioned it earlier, how he appeared to be getting some amazing runs out of Oak Tree onto the back straight, Larry. And the one thing that I've noticed with Labano is he is taking a very shallow entry to turn 12 to Oak Tree as he comes out of 11. He's staying maybe mid-track, sometimes even a little bit more to driver's right, and somehow can get that car to rotate at the apex and get it straightened up very quickly, and it doesn't affect. He makes up a lot of distance on other drivers before the apex, and somehow is able to put the power down coming out.
Yeah, I think there's something to that line to kind of come in a little bit more shallow than some of the others are. The track does kind of like fall off to the outside, and I think maybe he's recognizing that and use that line to get a better launch. Look at the mixing here going on between our LMP3s going around the outside through turn 1 is this battle of Beaver, and I think that's Eric Violet now chasing him. Yeah, trying to get around some of the traffic there in the GT4s.
And Larry, and this is I think somewhat amazing. I'm taking a look at comparative lap times here, and just as it looks like most of the LMP3 field is starting to lose a little bit of pace as they're working their way through the GT4 traffic. Violet almost 2 seconds faster than Beaver ahead of them, and even more so, almost 4 seconds faster than some of our lead drivers in LMP3s. You can see they're right in the thick of it, trying to battle through coming out of Oak Tree.
Eric showing his true pace that he didn't quite get in qualifying, which led to the position he was in, that he ultimately ended up falling down the order and spinning, and now he's on the recovery drive. But as you say, he's got the pace to do it, but now he's stuck through traffic. So while he's somewhere around 15 seconds from your leader in the race, that's not going to get any closer while he chases through traffic in a much more difficult position. As we flash up forward in the field for the Battle of Fifth, that's Baron Glover there from the wrong stuff. And should be Brandon Whitworth just right there next to him as they're trying to get around Kevin Ford. Almost went 3 wide. Now he's got Ryan Reeves coming up behind him. They're going to have 3 LMPs going in together into one. Oof, look at the dicing.
Oh my gosh. And if you notice, Larry, looks like the stewards are taking a look at an incident between one of our LMP3 drivers, that's Bobby Childs in the 88 machine, and I believe Dale Maxwell in the 111 car, the Mercedes.
GT4, yeah. So we'll see what the results of that is. Bobby has made a pit stop, it says. So, but he is, I don't know if Bobby's out there right now or not, but we'll see what the ruling is on that.
Yeah, so let's take a look here, and we'll see exactly what happened as Dale Maxwell is heading into the pits now as well, as they're going through Snake.
That's aggressive, Bobby. That's very aggressive to try and cut the last apex of the Snake. I think you're going to make that. Unfortunately for Bobby, he did not.
Something about cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Yeah, well, the front of that car may have lost its nose as well.
Yes.
So, all right, flashback to midfield. This is Midfield Motorsports' Tom Jenkins now. They're trying to chase down, I believe it's Russ Ruddick in the 95.
Yeah.
And then he's got Neil Wilson in the lone Porsche in the field right behind him. And then I think he's got a John Sterling in the Mercedes behind him. So a little pack kind of lining up here. I can't believe only one Porsche. Remember when the days GT4 just a couple seasons ago where it seemed like everybody was in the Porsche? Now it's Astons and Mercedes and even a couple of McLarens out there and one lone Porsche.
Little surprised by that, frankly. Still a good showing of Aston Martins out here, but it looks as though, Larry, I don't think much of a surprise if we look through the field. I think the majority of the drivers behind the wheel of the Mercedes AMG GT4.
Yeah, it seems to be the biggest choice for a lot of drivers. I personally like it because it does make the best sound in the entire sim, if you ask me.
Well, that's the GT4 cars.
The GT4 sounds pretty darn good too, but it tends to be the easy button. It doesn't take much. You don't make a lot of mistakes. It doesn't do anything great, but it also doesn't do anything poorly. As this is a nice little pass here for Peyton, going up the inside of Jacobs. Lobano's going to try and follow through. Not going to get there as the track switches from a right to a left now, down around NASCAR bend. Jacobs still holding on to that spot, but he continues to fall through the order. Lobano now has to get around Jacobs, or he's going to lose David Payton in the distance here as they come around the Snake and start heading up the back straight.
See here as he makes the run, if they both make the run up to the uphill S's, and I mean, there just isn't enough of a difference between these cars, and I think we've talked about it in previous seasons. The draft is not that strong with these GT4 cars. That Lobano's best chance here is going to be going into Oak Tree and see. Watch what he does.
There's that shallow line.
Yep.
But he gets the power down, and then he runs it out wide. Look at that run he gets on the BMW. He's already passing Jeff as they come out. And there you can see it. Great shot. Thank you, Lee. As the LMP3s go up the inside. I want to say, is that... let's see who that was in those LMP3s.
I think Strikers is the rear one.
Strikers and Jackson, I think, are the two going through. Jackson in that Aerokinetics. And then Strikers, who we saw had the big spin earlier. Other Aerokinetics, Aaron Beaver, still locked into the battle here with Eric Violet as they come down to the front straight. Let's see, kind of tied up together there. These two running pretty good times. Currently running some low 45s. That's pretty quick around here. That might be why Eric's patient to sit behind him while they catch up towards somewhere up in there is a Michael Brooks. Beyond the field of GT4s is another LMP3. So there he is. Thank you, Lee. Michael decided to almost do what Bobby did and pass as they come around the last apex. He decided to wait just an extra moment. Michael able to get on by, and there's the next two and a third one even coming up behind. Just the speed these guys with that downforce carry through these S's. These upper S's, they are fast in anything.
Yes.
I don't care what car you're driving.
And the challenge is always after that last right-hander to get the car back over to driver's right to be able to set up for South Bend, because the last thing you want to do is be entering South Bend from the center of the track if you don't want to. So earlier in the week, Larry, Michael Brooks from the Wrong Stuff was our fastest driver in practice. He turned a 142.7 earlier in the week.
All right, well, you see what's going on here is formerly leader of the race, Mike Dam, is now third behind Travis Schwenke, your new leader, and Rob Hartley in second. So Mike Dam is on his way in. We've got a replay.
All right, so let's take a look here.
Comes around through the
going through Snake.
That is rub the wall. Boy, that's the luckiest bounce I have ever seen. Wow, Mike Dam just grazes the wall. We'll see how long he's in the pits and if he ends up needing repairs. But certainly a good chance to refresh and refuel. But if he needs a repair for an alignment, this could be an extended stop.
All right, and so he pits in on lap number 10, starting actually lap number 11. And we did think that the pit window here for the LMP3s was going to be anywhere, Larry, from lap 9 to lap 26. So he's getting in right in that window, and we know Dan is pretty much a master at fuel savings as it is. But I think the challenge here is he is going to be completely off the strategy of his two teammates. We'll see what happens. We know that they like to sync up towards the end of the race, and we'll see if they're able to do that or not.
Yeah, well, that'll be interesting. He's very lucky if the car doesn't have any significant damage. It does look like he may be back out of the pits. We'll see. We'll get a confirmation on that in a few minutes. So look at this, a little bit near touch there. Brennan Horan going through the upper S's. I didn't catch the number on that. That's Ian Patience there in the McLaren. And that was the 17 at Kyle Strikers in the LMP3 that was going by both of them. The proverbial bus, and did somebody get the plate on it?
Strikers is ending up in almost somewhere in every one of our shots here.
His sponsors are getting all the airtime tonight.
All right, so we see then Brennan Horn and Ian Patience once again as they were lined up for the first couple laps of this race as well.
Well, the other thing that's happened in this race we haven't quite caught up with yet is Leo Jagoda still leading AM, but is no longer leading the GT4 field. Ken Copeland and Robert Schwenkler did both get around him in their pro class cars. Leo still leading AM and leading Ian Patience by about that 8 second you can see on the timing, but you just don't see is how it's now Copeland, Schwenkler, Jagoda leading the way overall in GT4s.
It's Copeland is, I believe, sitting in that. Is that Copeland in the Mercedes?
That is the 87 of John Sterling.
That's right. Sorry.
The team collusion, John Sterling. Yes, they were. As Marlon Jones, I believe that was trying to get his way through that traffic there.
Yes.
There's the speed difference. Looks like going to Hog Pen in something with downforce, because of the compression, because of the speed you carry in the aero, the cars have a much higher apex speed through there than any of these GT4s may have, and that's what really shines. The other spots to be, of course, coming through the lower S's, where we've seen a couple times now of the GT4s and the LMP3s interacting, Bobby Childs namely one of them, how much faster those aero cars are than these GTs through those sort of mid-speed corners.
And it's interesting there, Larry, because typically in the GT4 cars, that area is snake as you came through 5A and you're going through 6 and 6A. You would want to straighten those out and use the curbing as much as possible in the GT cars. But you're not able to do that with the LMP3 machines running up against you, and it throws you off your line and makes your run through there much more difficult as well.
Yeah, watching Brennan Horn and Ian Patience doing a little bit of the zigzag dance as they were coming up to the breaking point. I would say the Mercedes may have a speed advantage in a straight line. But I know
Brennan's going to try and
McLaren,
come underneath as they go into hog pen.
Yep.
And you saw there right as they turned in at 17 as the Mercedes tried to come right underneath the number 21 machine, and they are going to stay door to door coming down in the 1.
Let's see who can outbrake who, because I suspect the McLaren may be able to break. I think the McLaren's good at mid-corner and corner exit, getting that power down with an engine in the right place in the car. And look at that. He's just almost able to hold on there despite being on the outside line. Now he has to slip in behind Brennan. So lucky for Brennan, he's able to take the advantage going now into NASCAR 3 and then into 4. But, that's the advantage of the McLaren. Now he can negate that if he can start to pull away in some of these other sections as they now head to the lower S's.
Yeah, indeed. And I thought we were going to see the McLaren maybe go a couple feet deeper into the brake zone at 1. And looks like Patience played is either A, playing the long game, or B, playing the careful game.
And I can't believe you're not using the pun. I'm just going to let that go. We'll save that one for later.
I'm not going to use it. Not going to do it.
All right. Michael Brooks from the Wrong Stuff and his fan club are enjoying this right now as he's there on the screen. Got a couple of his Wrong Stuff teammates there in that shot. I think it's Baron Glover in the number 13 right in front of him. This is fan club watching in tonight. See an Anna Brooks and a Tim Brooks. Hopefully they're rooting for his team at Baron Glover as well. Brandon Whitworth, haven't heard much from him since the start of the race. With the Mike Dam having slipped down the order a bit, Whitworth now up to 3rd, still though about 3.5 seconds behind the two teammates from Ryan, Schwenke, and Hartley. But Whitworth maybe coming on strong here. The lap times, now they are out of traffic for the moment. They're all running 43s, so except for Michael Brooks, who ran a 42.8 fastest lap of the race last time by.
And and again, getting down towards where he was under low fuel in practice. Yeah. Pretty amazing there for the number 83 machine. Should also mention that Ken Copeland, who is your current leader in GT4, was our fastest driver in practice during the week for Team Esport Racer. A 1:53.9 was the fast time for him, and looks like nobody has gotten out of the high 54s so far tonight.
Quick update on Mike Dam, pole sitter, former leader of this race. He is back in the race after a 5-minute pit stop that cost him about a lap and a half.
So what looked like a fairly minor scrape against the wall there coming through Snake, obviously a little bit more serious, or his virtual crew thought it was serious.
Yes, that must be what he wanted, was just to get the alignment straight in the car, as he's basically at the back of the field now in the LMP3s. He'd need a little bit of a caution plus some help to probably do much beyond that tonight. But Leo Jagoda still leading the way in the AM category of GT4s. Ian Patience, about 9 seconds behind him. You can see there on the timing ticker. Chuck Lobano currently 3rd in the GT4 AMs. But Leo's kind of got his eyes up in front of him. There you can see it. Robert Schwenkler just off the camera. There's Schwenkler just up the road there, a couple of seconds ahead of Leo. Schwenkler running 2nd overall in the GT4s and running 2nd, of course, in pro category. And he's looking 5 seconds up. Probably can't even see him at this one. He's just barely in the distance is Ken Copeland, leading all of the GT4s right now in that Mercedes. Schwenkler, though, the last time by, took a couple tenths out of Copeland's advantage, so still got some pretty good pace there, running in the low 55s.
Going Brennan Horn turning in a 54.9, as I think he had a little bit of a pull there from Jagoda going down the back straight, but we'll see if he's able to make up a little bit of ground now. Again, Brennan Horn, his first season in GT4 Pro, he was our Season 4 AM category champion in that same Mercedes AMG GT3. As we're watching now Neil Weston in the Porsche.
Yeah, it was a dive bomb move there. Russ Reddick moved to the outside as down the inside. went John Sterling, and then Weston's right there with him. But Russ maybe getting a little more defensive once he saw that Mercedes go down the inside. He doesn't want to let the Porsche do the same thing.
No.
But right behind him, I see a Tom Jenkins in that Aston. Maybe want to get by all this. So it's getting a little testy back there.
Yeah,
and they're fighting for that fourth place position. It's a pretty good group there. You've got about 4 cars fighting for fourth place. Look at the speed Jenkins carries up the upper S's. The holy cow!
Yeah.
Right up on the back of the Porsche as they get up there.
Well, I think also it was exacerbated a little bit there by the Porsche of Weston was kind of hunting around, looking, maybe just trying to get in Ruddock's mirrors as they were going into the S's, and I think it definitely slowed up his entry there. But wow, yeah, the 68 machine was just full on the throttle going up through there.
Yeah, he closed up in a hurry. Now, he didn't quite get the run off of Oak Tree, though, that Weston, of course, in that mid-engine Porsche was able to get. Weston right up on the back of Russ Ruddock, but I don't think he's got the straight line speed. But look at the braking, though.
And the braking, though, as Ruddock closed things down. And Larry, another new development here. Mike Dam making another run to the pit lane.
Yeah, maybe that car wasn't quite fixed. Maybe he decided to get out of there early, hoping the car was good enough, and maybe it wasn't. That wasn't the biggest hit, but it was a sideways hit, which means that whole side of the car gets taken out. All right, so this is interesting. That looks like a Brandon Whitworth, Michael Brooks, and Baron Glover.
And Larry, let's take a look here because Robert Hartley now, who was sitting up in the lead for a few moments there along with Travis Schwenke, his teammate, has now fallen back into 9th position in LMP3. And let's take a look here. Actually, he might have come down the pit lane, and this might be his outlap here, and that would certainly do it, as I think some of our LMP3 drivers starting to come in. Kyle Strikers takes his car down the pit lane as well. We'll check back in and see. And Hartley just may be on a slightly different strategy than his teammate Schwenke. It
could be. He could definitely just be deciding that it was a different time for him to pit, maybe with traffic and such. We'll see how that plays out then for Schwenke. But the battle there behind these guys, Whitworth currently up to second now with the Wrong Stuff teammates of Brooks and Glover kind of stacking up behind him. Eric Violette closing in on everybody as he is the fastest car in the field right now, running some low 44s. A lot of these guys running in the 45s. So Violette not out of this thing yet. I think I've got him about 12 seconds off the lead. Yep, there's the timing ticker there, about 12 seconds. With a pit stop still to make for him, as well as the rest of the folks in front of him. Could be an interesting closing half of this next half of the race. There's Brooks currently third, with Glover should now be behind him, and Brooks now chasing Whitworth. Look at the pace that Brooks has, though.
Wow, coming down the hill. Well, I think also Whitworth was held up just a little bit because as he had Jeff Jacobs directly ahead of him coming down the roller coaster.
I don't know that Whitworth has anything for Brooks right now. Brooks is screaming around this place. Brooks wanted to get by him even through Hog Pen. I wondered if Brooks is running a higher downforce setup because he was just way better stuck than Whitworth as they were coming down the roller coaster.
Yeah, and you notice towards the end of the front straight had maybe fallen off a little bit where Whitworth was.
Let's watch the speeds here as they go through some of the slower stuff like turn 4 and then down through the snake here. He seems to have recovered. He seems to be all right, but they're going to encounter traffic, and that could be an opportunity for Michael Brooks.
Yeah, they're going to have a lot of traffic going through the uphill S's. We'll probably see Brooks close back in here.
Yeah, Labano, David Payton, and it's nearly single file, but if you can squirt past it, he doesn't. But now he's going to have to do it before he gets to Oak Tree. Otherwise, Brooks is going to have an opportunity. They're both going to try and get to the inside of Labano going in. Oh, this is going to be dicey. Oh, they contact?
Looks like Brooks was very close to the back of Brandon Whitworth.
Yeah.
Might have had to stand on the brakes, Larry, a little bit longer than he wanted to coming into Oak Tree.
Yeah, it just almost looked like they may have touched. If not, maybe Brooks wasn't anticipating Whitworth being out on the rumbles and a little bit slow to accelerate. But no harm, no foul so far, it looks like. And they're able to get past Payton. Brooks, though, just losing a straightaway there. Look at the lockup, though, from Whitworth. See the tire smoke coming up. Brooks going to have to do all that work to catch back up to him again. And we'll see it maybe down the front straight. Look how much faster he is down through roller coaster and hog pen. As again, Whitworth has to be catching up to another GT4 car. This one's Kevin Ford. Now Brooks has got to run all the way down the front straight with the draft. Going to have an opportunity here. Not quite. It's the battle for second, between second and third place, while we know that down the order was a Robert Hartley, as well as the Mike Dan was back in the pits and pretty much out of this race.
And Larry, at this point, both Reeves and Hartley into the 43s. So they are definitely starting to pick up the pace. And Eric Violette, that last time by, I think, dealing with traffic, a high 45, but we're starting to see a lot of the drivers drop into the low to mid 43s now. And as we said, Michael Brooks at a 42.8, he's your fastest driver, so far your fastest driver in LMP3.
Yeah, with Hartley running down in the 43s at this stage, I'm not sure if that's just the product of a pit stop with better tires, or if it's just a lighter fuel load now coming down in the car. Either way, between Reeves' current pace, Hartley's current pace, these guys are currently sitting 6th and 8th, and they're having this kind of pace this point of the race. It's just getting interesting because in front of them, and you can see there it is, the purple and gray D2D of Eric Violette. We know that he can be fast as well. So Reeves is catching him. We'll see what this means between them. Are they going to be able to catch up another couple seconds to Barron Glover? You can see Barron right in front of him catching up to one of our D2Ds. I think that might be D2Ds. I think that is
that
the 60 of Chris Thorman. Yeah, currently running 4th in the pro category GT4. These guys are catching him now. So there's Violet. There's Glover in front of him. There's Reeves behind him. And then just around the bend up there is Brooks.
Brooks isn't about 3 seconds up, but at the pace that Violet's running, not that far off. It's still interesting, Larry, as I'm watching, and you mentioned with Whitworth locking up the brakes a little bit earlier, that both Whitworth and Violet continue to have some challenges here under braking with these LMP3 machines, as we're watching right now coming out of his pit stall to continue on. Ian Patience takes his service, takes on fuel, and it should be enough to get him to the end of the race.
All right, well, there's again the Whitworth and Brooks battle. Brooks right back up onto his heels. And then you can see right behind them is the Glover and then Violet and Reeves. So this whole LMP3 field is really starting to stack up. And remember, we're in that pit window. For those that haven't taken, we believe that Hartley's taken his. I don't know that anybody else has yet. So
other than Strikers, I think, possibly.
Okay. Yeah, so Strikers as well, who's currently in front of Hartley. So we'll see what happens there, but it may not be a bad time if these guys don't pull into the pits now. It may not be a terrible time to do a quick break. We'll see what happens when they come back.
All right, well, let's take a look here as they roll down the roller coaster, and Violet and probably Whitworth and Brooks getting stacked up a little bit here behind the 118 machine of Dragotta as they come onto the front straight, and neither one is going to take to the pit lane here as they come down. Larry, let's follow them down in the turn 1, and then we'll go for a break here. Wow, and we thought that maybe Whitworth had the car trimmed out a little bit more than Michael Brooks, but you could see there as they were jockeying for position under braking, pretty extreme there, as we thought Brooks might have taken the advantage, and then Whitworth just a little bit later on the brakes going into 1. All right, so let's do this.
All 5 of them there together. Let's get this break in because it's going to get more exciting when we get back.
Absolutely. All right, so let's take a quick little break. Thanks to our partners, and we'll be back taking you all the way to the checkered flag here from Virginia International Raceway, where you're watching round number 1 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts, Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back to Virginia International Raceway, where you're watching round number 1 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series, presented by Performa Elite. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, no change in order here, but wow, unless your name is Travis Schwenke, things are getting pretty hot and heavy here in LMP3.
Yeah, Schwenke just keeps going faster. As you see on the screen, they're just turning the fastest lap of the race at a 42.4. But everybody behind them doing this pretty much the same lap time there in the 44s, now turning into the 42s. But I tell you, it has turned into a hot and heavy train there from Whitworth, Brooks, Glover, Violet, Reeves. They're all just lined up, and it's getting dicey now as Reeves goes to the inside past Eric Violet. Reeves doesn't want to waste any more time. This is his time right now.
Yeah, and you can see, again, Larry, lots of brake lockup from the number 89 machine that's now going to drop Violet back down into 6th position. In GT4, we have a number of our drivers have started to take their pits. We've got Leo Dragona on the pit lane right now, Chuck Labano coming in, but we already had Robert Schwenkler and Ken Copeland hit the pit lane. Also had Brennan Horn come down the pit lane as well. And I think here as Dragota and Labano are hitting the pit lane, already working his way back into the lead. Ken Copeland in his Mercedes, and then Robert Schwenkler in the McLaren, who we're watching right now going down into turn 1, running 2nd in GT4.
Yeah, so while Copeland and Schwenkler are nearly identical pit times, they come right back out about the same place they were before, about 5 seconds apart. Leo Dragota should slot right in still as the leader in AM. Looks like he's a couple seconds ahead of Labano, probably going to be about 5 or 6. Maybe, there you go, about 8 seconds now as Labano even further drops as he's still getting back up to pace there. Patience moved up to 2nd now at GT4 AM. Dragota's lead comfortable at about 8.5. But Copeland, Schwenker, no changes there. Brennan Horn still trying to chase them down, currently 3rd in the D2D Mercedes there in GT4 Pro. And that's how they are on track. Copeland, Schwenkler, Horan, and Thorman, your front 4 in Pro, or the front 4 overall GT4s. Then you got Dragota, the 5th and the 1st of the AMs. And then you got David Payton in the Pro, currently 5th.
Yeah, and Larry should point out here, Brennan Horn, great job for him in the pits, that he's made up a number of positions on track. Of course, we saw him in his fight pretty much from the start of the race with Ian Patience, the AM McLaren driver, but he has also managed to leapfrog Leo Dragota as well. And Brennan Horn now finds himself 3rd in 3rd of all the GT4 drivers, whereas he had been back, I think, last time we looked in at him, he was running in 5th place in GT4, still 3rd in Pro. but has picked up a lot of position on track.
Yeah, actually, so is Chris Thorman, currently 4th in pro. Those two actually, I think, started on the same row or just offset, same order when we dropped the green flag about 42 minutes ago. So great job for both Horn and Thorman to be sitting 3rd and 4th overall in the field. And who knows? I mean, yeah, they're about 15 seconds or so there behind Schwenkler for 2nd. But you just never know the way this crazy race is unfolding, that Brandon Horn and Chris Thorman could continue to climb if anything were to befall Copeland or Schwenkler, your top two.
Yeah, as you can see, we're now 2/3 of the way through the 60-minute race. Got a little bit less than 20 minutes remaining.
Aaron Beaver now in the Aerokinetics LMP3 trying to get around him, and this battle continues. Brandon Whitworth, though, has still got the 83 of Brooks now next to him. Let's see if Brooks can make this move using the traffic as a bit of a pick. Make it stick. Had to use something to get by the slipperier D2D of Brandon Whitworth.
Yeah, and we've seen him try to outbreak Whitworth multiple times, Larry, and he now gets it done to move Michael Brooks up into 2nd position, moving Whitworth in the 42 car back into 3rd. And yeah, I mean, it was a nice move there by Brooks using that slower GT4 car as a bit of a pick, as Whitworth really didn't have anywhere to go under braking.
Still waiting to see the rest of the pit stops here in these LMP3s, as all the GTs have done their stop. We'll see if the LMP3s, I assume they will need to. I don't know that anybody can make it to the end.
Yeah, Larry, we had anticipated that that the LMP3 cars, they could make it somewhere around 26 laps on fuel, so we're getting pretty close to the end of that pit window. Yeah, we're running now right at lap 25.
Well, that'd be interesting then, because Rob Hartley, we believe, has stopped. He's about 26 seconds behind Reeves, so we'll see if Hartley's position changes. There's Mr. Hartley going past Russ Ruddock into the Oak Tree Bend, and now Hartley down onto Madison Avenue. Woo! Right there behind the 68 of Jenkins.
Gave a nice little sachet at the end there. All right,
here they come.
Travis Schwenke pitting it from the lead. And that is going to now move Michael Brooks up. He is your new leader. Brendan Whitworth 2nd, Ryan Whitworth. Eric Violette pits in as well. There's the number 89 machine slowly making his way down the pit lane.
Not having the night he wanted, consider the spin that he had on the 2nd lap of the race. So Hartley, we believe he's already stopped, and now he's going to be making his way past those that are sitting in the pits, including
our leader Schwenke.
Maybe, as Schwenke is yet to move. He's still in his pit stall.
And Violette, who pitted in almost 10 seconds afterwards, he is now out as well. And I think Schwenke,
do we think he has perhaps a pit speed violation he's serving? It might be.
Back underway.
He might be serving a pit speed violation. That does happen sometimes, because it didn't appear he did anything else. It didn't look like he was doing any other tire changing. He wouldn't need that much fuel to go 15 minutes. That's unfortunate, because he was the race lead. Right now, that guy right there, Michael Brooks, is the assumed leader.
And that is going to set the whole Brooks contingent in our chat, Larry, afire. As I'm sure Anna and everybody else there, Anna and Tim, are going to be going nuts with Michael Brooks, your new leader. He's got the advantage over Brandon Whitworth. Now, neither Brooks nor Whitworth or Reeves, running in 3rd, have come in for their pit stops yet.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there, because I would be thinking about timing my stop depending on traffic. If I felt like I could pick through traffic quickly, I would stay out. If I thought that I was going to catch someone in a bad position, I'd probably want to come in. Brooks there was able to get past Kevin Ford before they got into 1. Didn't really upset him too much. Whitworth, on the other hand, had to wait for Ford. So Whitworth maybe one little slowdown there. At some point, these guys are all going to have to stop. Brooks, Whitworth, we call him Whitworths. He's not Whitworth. That's an old department store. This is Brandon Whitworth.
All right, Ryan Reeves, Larry, has taken his pit stop. He's back out, but Robert Hartley has managed to take over third position now from the number 23 machine. And he is currently sitting about a half-minute back from our leaders.
Which makes me wonder if that's enough to take the lead when Brooks and Whitworth make their stops. So we'll be keeping an eye. We know Hartley's run a pretty good, solid, steady race. He and Travis Schwenke were pretty much side by side when Hartley came in for that earlier stop. So keep our eye on.
We're seeing pit lane times, Larry, of somewhere around 37, 38 seconds. So, yeah. I mean, it's certainly a possibility that Hartley might be in perfect position to take the lead here.
Let's see what he does. He's coming up on his own bout to traffic, but just at this point with 13 minutes, just has to keep his nose clean and see where this shakes out. But these guys decide to come in. It's got to be soon. Here comes Brooks in this time. Yep,
both
and right
Brooks
behind him.
And Whitworth come into the pit.
Oh, look at that.
And look at Brooks, and that might be a problem, Larry.
We'll see if that's a pit speeding limit right there, or if he was able to low it down. He certainly was trying to get the speed off, even if it was sideways.
So, ladies and gentlemen, no ABS for these LMP3s, and I think you saw it right there. And it looks like Brooks has got the car up on the jack stands. He might need new tires now, Larry.
He maybe have T-shaped tires.
I mean, it looked like he was it was like an old Motor Week test, testing out the brakes of like a '67 Pontiac Catalina or something there. But he is back underway.
He's back underway. Let's see what kind of pace he has. He's going to try and chase down
Robert Hartley gets by, though, Larry. Yep. He is down through turns 1 and 2, and that is going to now move Robert Hartley up into the lead. Remember, he was running second when he took his pit stop, again, much earlier than these other drivers.
Oh, look, that's a Kevin Ford off there, the outside of 3.
Yes.
Yeah, there's Kevin. Sure,
you won't see that in our track guides.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're touring the pagoda.
Yes.
The snack shack that's about 100 yards to the right of where he's parked. All right, look at this little squabble, skirmish going on. All sorts of words tonight. As Whitworth is trying to catch up to Hartley now. Whitworth is able, I think, to get around Reeves.
And he has, yes, is about Reeves is just a little bit further back in that shot. There he is, right behind Labano and Patience.
He's able to get around Brooks as well. There's Brooks at the back of that shot. There he is. So he came in as the race leader. He comes back out in 4th. But about 4 seconds behind Whitworth and 2 seconds behind Ryan Reeves. He had good pace going in. Let's see if he can resurrect some of that pace and maybe in 10 minutes make a fight for a podium here. We're pretty sure he took tires, right?
Yes, the car went up on the jack stands. I'm fairly certain he did.
Maybe dealing with cold tires right now in this outlap. Way through it, Chuck Labano right there in front of him. Patience, of course.
Yeah, and the difference, Larry, on that outlap, about 8 seconds between Whitworth and Brooks. And I think
that's what I'm wondering if Brooks's cold tires really has him off pace for that first lap. Is it's just dropping him back. He's got to warm those things up. But this is a good little battle.
A bunch of GT4 cars down through the roller coaster didn't help him any.
Yeah. This actually is Patience and Labano battling for second in GT4 AM. And then right in front of them is David Payton. But he's in the GT4 Pro. It's these two. It's this black McLaren and then the green and brown Mercedes. Those are the two locked in that battle for second in GT4 AM.
Again here as Labano takes the Mercedes out of Oak Tree, and again he's been very strong in this section of the course. not quite close enough. I think the patience here is they're going to come up towards the end of Madison Avenue and under braking in the 14. He's still about 3 car lengths back, but you can see there, look at that, under brakes. Pulls right up to the back of the 21, and I think the 21 got balked a little bit by David Payton. Payton just doesn't seem to be as late on the brakes as some of these other drivers going up in the 14.
Is that Hartley? Decide who that was that just went through.
I think that was Schwenke. I think that was Strikers and Schwenke.
Okay.
That just came through.
Yeah, Striker's paint scheme sometimes has an Orion look to it at times. And yeah, there they are side by side.
Yeah.
So that is the battle for 6th. Hartley leads this race. We got a strong battle between Whitworth and Reeves for 2nd. And the battle for 6th, Strikers and Schwenke. And then this battle is still going on in GT4 AM between Patience and Labano. And those are the second 2 cars in that train there.
Yes, time is starting to wear down now. Again, less than 8 minutes, closer to 7 minutes remaining on the clock here from VIR, the 60-minute round 1 battle.
And then this is the battle for 6th in GT4 AM. You've got Russ Ruddock, currently 5th, I should say. He's the 5th place car. Right behind him is Sterling, and then right behind them in the Porsche is Weston again.
Weston.
Maybe the only Porsche in the field, but he's getting plenty of camera time tonight. And then I see a Kevin Ford on his recovery behind them. Kevin is turning laps about 2 seconds faster than those guys in front of him, so not long before he can catch them if there's time left. He's only got about 7 minutes. Kevin Ford trying to save some of his ego here to the end of the race, considering how badly bruised it got earlier on.
Here again, this is the battle for 2nd in LMP3. Brendan Whitworth and Ryan Reeves. And they are, well, they've been going at it now, Larry, for what, about 45 minutes or so.
And they're flying right now, 42.7, 42.5 the last time by for each of them, respectively. And that's some serious pace at this hour to be laying down 42s like that. Now they're going to be, of course, catching up to those battles there in front of them. That looks like
and
Schwenkler.
Interesting, Larry, that, that Brooks, wow.
Schwenkler just trying to get out of the way there in the wrong stuff. McLaren, 2nd currently in pro. He wants nothing to do with that battle.
No.
He'll flash the lights like, hey, guys, thanks, bye.
Yeah, thank you. So I was looking here, Larry, and Brooks is running almost 2 seconds off the pace of Whitworth and Reeves right now. And I think he's pretty much just looking to bring that car home. Maybe he didn't take tires, and maybe he's regretting it now. I don't know.
I have a feeling he may have taken tires, maybe regretting it, because these cars took a while to really warm up, and I'm thinking that perhaps they would be best to stay on those tires, but only Mr. Brooks knows. But the rest of this little battles are still going. Peyton not in the class of the 2 behind them. Peyton currently 4th in pro. He's got the red banner and mirrors. Look behind him with the 2 greens. That's Patience and Labano in the McLaren and the Mercedes.
And that's the battle for 2nd in AM.
Yeah. 5 minutes to go.
And it looks like Mike Dam's problems continue as he got the car back out on track, Larry, but brings it down the pit lane once again. This is, I think, his 5th time in the pits here this evening.
Giving practice to the virtual pit team down there.
They'll be doing pit stops in under 3 seconds soon enough, Larry.
It's like coach making you do suicide drills when you lose big in the game last week.
Right.
Pretty much what he's doing to his pit crew right now. They're all doing suicide drills. Grab those tires. Change them one more time. Lots of tire smoke coming off of whoever that was that just went through turn 1. Labano at some point is going to have to make the move.
He's He's only
on
got,
pace.
I think, like 2 more laps to do it or so, Larry.
Yeah, we are definitely winding down. The clock you see there on the screen, 56 minutes. It's sometime before that that goes to 0. We will have our race leader, and right now that's Rob Hartley. Our race leader would see that white flag before anybody else, but I don't know if it's going to happen yet. This is right now Strikers and
Schwenke. And it looks like Strikers has gotten around the number 16 machine, so our former leader, Travis Schwenke, now sitting back in 7th position.
the other fast car on the track right now, in addition to Rob Hartley, race leader, is Eric Violet. Currently up to 5th, 4 seconds behind Brooks. I don't know if there's enough time to do anything with that. He is definitely one of the quickest cars on the track. He just turned a 42.57. That car is just coming into its own. He's just right in the back of the 62. I believe that's Brockway.
Yeah, it's
Greg
Brockway.
Brockway. Yeah. There's Strikers.
And we're still seeing lots of brake lock up from Eric Violet. Here is, yeah, there's about 5 seconds. Violet's about 5 seconds up the road now. You know, as we were looking at whether Violet can get to Michael Brooks before the end of the race, Violet's been running about 2 seconds, a little bit less than 2 seconds per lap faster than Brooks for the last, I think the last couple of laps that I've been watching there. So again, I don't think there's going to be enough time there, as we only have 2 minutes remaining on the clock.
Hartley should get white flag next time by, as he's somewhere just ahead of these guys. There he is.
He'll, as we've got,
This is going to be interesting, because he's probably going to pass that whole pack of GT4s in front of him after he sees white flag, which means they'll never see a white flag. They're just going to see a checker next time they come around. Kevin Ford, of course, being one of them, as Kevin just got passed by Rob Hartley, race leader. So we'll see what happens. There's Whitworth, currently second. He sees the white flag with a minute and change to go. These mirrors are full of Ryan Reeves. There's your podium, folks. Hartley 10 seconds up on this battle. This is the battle for second and third, Whitworth and Reeves. Whitworth giving it everything he's got through NASCAR. Now through the hook. Look at the brake lock up behind him for Reeves.
And that little bit of brake lock up where he might have just ended the game for Ryan Reeves, as he falls now almost 7 car lengths back.
It's amazing how fast that happens. You make one little brake lock up at the wrong corner and you lose all that momentum. You lose the timing to turn in, and turn 4, turn in is so critical. It really does kind of set up the whole rhythm then of the snake. And if you lock up the brakes going in and now you got to turn in late, it's tough to get that back. But he may have made it up around South Bend.
And we'll see what happens, Larry, because you see a couple of our GT4 drivers just up ahead.
Well, we've talked about that DTD car of Whitworth all night being a little slipperier through the air than everybody else, and I think that showed right there. Can't carry the speed through South Bend, but look at the straightaway speed. He's got this pack. He's just trying to get by.
He does, just at 14, and now Reeves is stuck behind coming down the hill. Finally dispatches those GT4 drivers.
Meanwhile,
Robert Hartley coming onto the front straight for the very last time and taking the checkered flag. Your winner tonight here at Virginia International Raceway, Robert Hartley. Brendan Whitworth will finish second. Ryan Reeves will round out the top 3 in LMP3. And let's take a look here now as Eric Violet will finish in 4th. In GT4, we've still got our class leaders a little bit further back, as looks like we now have Violet and Strikers crossing the line as well. But here comes Ken Copeland from Team Esport Racer, driver the number 15 Mercedes. He will take the win in GT4 Pro. Robert Schwenkler, here he comes onto the front straight in the wrong stuff. McLaren. Schwenkler will finish in 2nd. Brennan Horn, great run for Brennan. He will come home in 3rd.
And behind him
Yeah, coming behind him, your winner in GT4 AM. And that is one of the Flying Dragotta brothers. It's Leo Dragotta, driver of the number 118 Dragon Sport car. He takes the win. And everybody else in GT4M has come across the line except that battle for second. And let's see if Labano is able to get up to the back of Patience. No. And Ian Patience in his first race here in the Sports Car Series will finish second in GT4 AM. Chuck Labano will finish third.
A lot of fun racing, all three classes, very well contested. A lot of great driving tonight. Hopefully we'll be able to get a chance to talk to some of our top podium finishers here when we have our short break, and I'd like to hear what they have to say.
That's it. So, Larry, let's go. Well, thanks to our partners and sponsors. And when we come back, we'll interview some of our podium finishers here at Virginia International Raceway, where you've just seen round number 1 of season 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series. We'll be right back.
Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back to Virginia International Raceway, where you've just seen round number 1 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Proforma Elite. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. Let's take a look at that finishing order one more time if we can. Lee, we'll bring them on up here. Taking the win in LMP3, Robert Hartley with Brendan Whitworth finishing second, Ryan Reeves, Michael Brooks, Eric Violette, your top 5. In GT4 Pro, Ken Copeland for Team Esport Racer takes the win, with Robert Schwenkler finishing second, Brennan Horn third, David Payton and Jeff Jacobs rounding out your top 5. And in GT4 AM, Leo Dragotta and Ian Patience first and second, Chuck Labano coming home in third, with Tom Jenkins and Neil Weston rounding out the top 5 in a really nice big field here for our first round of the Sports Car Series. And so, Larry, let's take a look. I think we've got some of our racers starting to file into the green room.
Okay.
Let's do this. I've got our 2 winners in GT4 all queued up and ready to rock. Why don't we bring in our GT4 AM winner from Dragon Sport Racing? It's Leo Dragotta.
And his name is John C.
Wow.
That's quite the intro from Leo Dragotta. Leo, how you doing tonight? Congrats on the win and that great intro there. I can't top that. How was it from your view? You had the car, you had the pace, you put the thing on pole tonight, you still come home with the AM victory. How'd it look from your side?
That felt very good. But sorry, my iRacing. Alright, sorry for that. Yeah, I feel good. I mean, the Aston was a little slippy in the beginning, and it felt like it was on ice, but managed to keep it on track and hold the lead for like a couple laps. And then, yeah, I kind of got past in the end, and I kind of just ran my own race because I know I'm not going to battle with this pros and risk it. But, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, a solid race plan, able to bring it home clean and still, even at the end, still kind of pulling away from the rest of the AM field behind you. It's a great way to start off on this new season. You know, you come out here and put the thing on pole from the AM category. You think it took a few people by surprise, putting an AM car on the pole here in round one?
I took myself by surprise. I did not think I was going to do that because, like, I actually felt so slippy, and it really took a bit to warm up those tires, and got pole by a very small margin, and I did not want to get pole because I didn't know what to do, and I feel bad for Ryan because I asked him like 40 different questions. What's the start speed? What gap?
Well, you did a great job, and putting the thing on pole is never easy, so congrats on that, but getting a victory is never easy either, and you managed to do that as well, so congrats on the victory here, but I'm sure you've got a team behind you you'd like to give some thanks to.
Yeah, Lucas, everybody at the lead, this has been great. My new endurance team, we haven't been doing any endurance races lately, but we've been all preparing for this series and our upcoming RWC on Monday. My parents, my dad for coming into my room, telling me strategy, and my mom for supporting me all the way through. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And you guys also for this awesome stream. Can't forget.
Well, we appreciate that, but congrats to you and the whole team behind you. You guys did a great job this week, and it's a great way to get started off on round one with a victory. So congrats, Leo.
Yep, thank you.
All right, there you go, Leah Dragota from Rennsport Racing, your winner tonight in GT4 AM. Let's move over now to our GT4 Pro winner from Team Esport Racer, driving the number 15 machine, the number 15 Mercedes. It is Ken Copeland.
All right, Ken Copeland with us. And Ken, it's an interesting race tonight with the new series and the new format between the multiple classes. You managed to have a very good, consistent, solid pace and just kept pulling away as the race progressed. Did it feel from your side kind of, I don't want to say easy, but as seamless as it did from ours?
Seamless, yes. Easy, no. Virginia's never easy, but I really, really enjoy technical tracks, so I was looking forward to this one. We've got a ton of pace and a lot of different people. Leo, AM class getting pole. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of talent. I think you're going to see it get real competitive as the season continues.
Yeah, it was great to see that, and great to see the mixture up there. I mean, Rob Schwenkler right there behind you had pretty good, strong race. Brennan Horn had a good recovery. So I think you're right. There's a lot of good talent in here. So perhaps most important is to max the points here in round one before anybody else gets up to speed. And you managed to do that. What was your impressions tonight, I guess, of the mixing of the LMP3s with the GT cars? Do you think that went as smoothly as a round one could hope?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I'm not sure everybody would agree with me, but for the most part, I think I only saw maybe two incidents from my perspective where somebody was being a little bit greedier than you'd like them to be. You got to kind of react to those, give people time to learn. Sometimes that means punishing them. Sometimes that means giving them the space. So most important thing is you make it to the end of the race.
Absolutely. And it's great when you do that. And you can be the first one in your class to see a checker flag like you did tonight. So awesome job tonight. Victory here for you in round one in the pro class, but I'm sure you and your eSport team don't act alone. You got some thanks you want to give to them?
Yeah, absolutely. None of the eSport guys joined me in the GT4 or the GT3 series this time around, but that's okay. I understand it. Still have all the love in the world for them. Want to thank you guys for putting on a wonderful broadcast week to week. So Apex Racing TV, thank you so much. Also all the guys in XMS, Extreme Motorsports, all the sponsors, Ricmotech, so on and so forth, as well as my lovely wife Dana, friends Will and Tina watching, all the pets and dogs. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, congrats again, Ken. Victory here tonight in round one in the Pro GT4. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Y'all have a good one.
All right, everybody. Ken Copeland from Team Esport Racer. All right, let's move over now to LMP3, and we're going to start off with our second place finisher tonight, driving the number 42 D2D eRacing Ligier, Brandon Whitworth.
All right, Brandon Whitworth has joined us. And Brandon, this was a hard-fought race from the beginning to the end. It just seemed like it could change at any moment. But in the end, you're coming back with a podium, and that's got to feel like about as good an outcome as you were expecting, considering the whole way the race went.
Honestly, I would have considered it a win just to finish the race.
It seemed a little hectic out there. Some tough battles. Anything in particular? Some battles stand out more than others?
Well, it was like driving in a traffic jam the whole time to me. I seem to always catch the GT4 cars in the worst spot, which let everybody catch back up to me. But I don't know. Reeves at the end was doing a really good job. I feel like we were having a good race there at the end.
Yeah, for a little while there's a train of about 5 LMP3s all kind of lined up with you at the front of them. Eric was in that. Kyle Stryker's in that. It's this long train about just 2 seconds separating you. One thing we noticed is your car seemed like it had a little better trap speed than the others. I don't know if that was a setup thing, but may have been an advantage for you at this kind of a track.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to tell. We were kind of running in the middle of the road setup, and it seemed to work pretty well. I know that when I burned fuel off toward the end of a run, the car was definitely faster in a straight line, so that was, that's great for the end of the run. Of course, the tires were kind of worn, so, the brake zones changed a little bit there at the end.
Yeah, tires wear. The lack of ABS is evident quickly when you watch these, let alone drive them, which makes them a bit of a handful. But it looked like a lot of fun. It's certainly a good workout here on a Monday night for you. But tonight, you managed to bring this thing home on the podium, second spot, Brandon. Awesome job there. You got anybody you want to thank for helping you get here tonight?
I gotta thank my teammates, Bobby Childs and Eric Violet, because they definitely helped with the setup. They did some research. I did a little bit of research, and they were big on helping find setups. No, I thank my family for letting me do this, and of course, Proforma Graphics, for sponsoring the league, and Ricmotech, and all the guys that run the league. They do a good job.
We got a great crew behind us, a great crew behind you, and for you that led to a great podium finish for you. So Brandon Whitworth, congrats on that. We'll see you again in a couple weeks.
Yeah, all right, thanks, guys.
All right, over there from D2D Racing, or D2D E-Racing, Brandon Whitworth. And so finally, let's move over, Larry, to our overall winner tonight, driving the number 3 Orion Racing Ligier, Robert Hartley.
All right, we've got our overall winner tonight, Robert Hartley, with us. And Robert, about a week ago, we watched an interesting race end up at Daytona there. But tonight, you start out the new season here in the SportsCar Series on top with the victory. But that was a bit crazy. I got to ask about your pit stop being a lot out of sequence, a lot earlier than everyone else. Do you think that helped you a little bit?
I do think it helped me. And I seen we were catching the back of the pack again, so I was like, yep, I better go ahead and pit right here and see if I can get a gap on these guys.
It seemed to work when you came across the line there, passing the rest of the field when they finally made their pit stops. You had yourself about a 10-second or 9-second lead then. And at that point, just kind of cruising on home. But I tell you what, we talked at the beginning of this race with the teammate Travis about the jump for the Orion team into a prototype away from more of traditional GT cars. Round 1 goes your way, but what's that transition been like for you in running these? I don't know if you in your own leagues run a lot of prototypes, but it's in this format, it seems to be a little bit of a different style than perhaps the GTs.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, this is my first time in these cars. I'm glad to come away with the win, but I definitely thought I was like a 3rd to a 5th place car there. Mike Dam had the field covered, ended up getting a little bit of damage, and it slowed him way down, and then Travis had a little speeding incident in pit road. We won't talk about that much, but yeah, so he let it slip away from him there. I was glad I was able to pick it up for him and come away with a win for the team.
Yeah, and sometimes those mistakes like that will cost you. And for Mike and for Travis, it definitely cost them. But you gotta minimize those as best you can. And for you tonight, you definitely did that. So congrats, Rob Hartley, getting the victory here tonight. But I'm sure you want to give some thanks to those that helped you along the way.
Yeah, definitely got to thank Mike Dam and Travis. They work on these setups and they do a great job at it. And I got to thank all our sponsors. Frank from Ricmotech is a big part of this deal, and Proforma, Elite Graphics, and all the admins and everybody that behind the scenes that make this league what it is. Thanks to all the drivers too tonight. It was a fun race. These cars are a blast to drive.
It definitely looked like it. Other than the ABS, I wouldn't mind some ABS, but they did look like a lot of fun tonight. And for you, Rob, you get to come home victorious in round 1, the first time we're seeing these LMP3s. So congrats on the victory. We'll see you again, I'm sure, next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, there you go. Robert Hartley, honorary dentist for the evening, Larry, from Orion Racing, your winner tonight at Virginia International Raceway. All right, so as we get ready to wrap things up, first off, I don't often quote Stubby, but I want to here tonight, Larry, and that is, remember, everybody, go ahead and push that big thumbs up button if you haven't done so already, and go ahead and subscribe to Apex Racing TV and click on that notification bell. That way you find out all the times that we go live with great virtual motorsports action from around the world. It does not stop. And thank you, Stubby. You took the words right out of my mouth. And let's quickly, before we jump and look at all of our other series, let's again take a look at what we've got on tap for you here for season 5 of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. We are going to next week be at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. That is sure to make folks like Chuck Lobano and David Payton and Mike Dam happy, and Alex Brown as well. But some other great places like the National Park of Speed, Road America. We're going to be going to Donington Park. Road Atlanta in November, right around the time of Petit Le Mans, Watkins Glen, you name it, will be there. And it should be a wonderful season 5 here for the Sports Car Series. But let's take a look at what we've got coming up in the next couple of weeks here. Next week is going to be it's almost like we just wrapped up a season, Larry. I swear I'm amazed that we've got it coming up so soon, but we've got round number one of the Ricmotech World Challenge. We're going to be at Daytona International. It's going to be, or Daytona Speedway. It's going to be our GT3 cars and the LMP1s next Monday night at 8 p.m. And then we're going to take the week off for Labor Day, and we'll be back then in 2 more weeks, September 11th. At Canadian Tire Motorsports Park with round 2 of the Sports Car Series. And of course, the Touring Car Cup we just wrapped up our season. We're going to be back in January with the very successful TCC for MX-5 Global Cup cars and the Toyota GR86 Cup cars. So for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Lee Thompson back in the old country there, pushing all the buttons, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and we'll see you next Monday night at 8 p.m. Have a great evening, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.